Hey, welcome back to Why I Hate Being a Wife. I'm your host, and today we're talking about something that I didn't even realize was happening until it had already happened. The invisible shift. You know what I'm talking about, right? That moment, or actually the series of moments where you look around and realize that everything about your life changed when you got married, but nothing about his did. You moved, you changed your name, you rearranged your entire life, you became responsible for things that weren't your responsibility before. You stopped being fully you and became something else. A wife, his wife, the person who manages everything. And he just kept being himself. So let me ask you something. When you got married, how much of yourself or how much of your life changed? Really, think about it. Your name, your home, your daily routine, your responsibilities, your identity, your friendships, your career, your body if you had kids. Now, ask yourself, how much of his life changed? Yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about today. The invisible shift. A woman disappear when they become wives, and how nobody seems to notice or care. Let's start with the most obvious one, the name change. Now, I know not every woman changes her name. Some women keep their names, some hyphenate, some do whatever the hell they want, and that's great. But let's be real. It's still assumed that you'll take his name. It's still the default expectation. And if you don't, you have to explain yourself. You have to justify it. You have to deal with awkward questions and judgment and people addressing male to Mrs. his last name anyway because they just assume. But here's the thing. Whether you changed your name or not, the expectation was there. And that expectation says something, doesn't it? It says that your identity is negotiable, that you're the one who joins his family, not the other way around, that you're the one who gives something up. For those of us who did change our names, it's not just a name, it's your identity. It's how you've been known your own life. Your entire life. It's on your degree, your professional work, your achievements. It's tied to who you are. And then you get married and suddenly you're someone else, Mrs. Somebody. You lose your identity in the phone book, on legal documents, at the doctor's office, on your credit cards, your driver's license, your passport. You spend hours, no, days, changing your name on every single account and document and record. And it's a pain in the ass. It's bureaucratic hell. It's waiting on hold with Social Security and the DMV and your bank and your insurance company and every single place that has your name on file. And for what? So you can have the same last name as your husband? So you can signal to the world that you belong to him now? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking your husband's name if that's what you want to do. But let's not pretend it's not a sacrifice. Let's not pretend you didn't give something up. And let's definitely not pretend it's equal when he didn't even have to give up anything. His name stayed the same. His identity was never questioned. He didn't spend hours on the phone with bureaucratic offices. He didn't have to explain or justify anything. He just stayed himself while you became someone new. Okay, now let's talk about location. Who moved when you got married? Or when you got serious? Or when you decided to build a life together? I'm willing to bet it was you. Or at the very least, the decision about where to live was based primarily on his job, his career, his location. We moved for his job is something I hear all the time. It's common. It's normal. Nobody even questions it. But we moved for her job? That's rare. And when it does happen, it requires explanation. People want to know why. What's so special about her job that he had to move for it? Why is he making that sacrifice? See? His career is assumed to be the priority. His location is the default, and if you move for him, that's just what you do. That's what wives do. They follow. They accommodate. They uproot their entire lives so he can stay where he is or go where he needs to go. And when you move, you don't just change your address. You lose everything you've built. You lose your support system. You lose your friends, your community, your network. You lose your familiarity with the area, your favorite spots, your community, your sense of home. You have to start over. New city, new job, new doctors, new grocery stores, new everything. You have to build a whole new life from scratch. And him? He gets to stay connected. His friends are still there, or they stay in touch. His family still accessible. His professional network is intact. His sense of place and belonging doesn't get disrupted. You're the one who sacrifices. You're the one who loses. You're the one who has to rebuild. And everyone just acts like that's normal. Like that's the deal. Like that's what you signed up for when you became a wife. But it's not just your name and your location. It's your entire identity. You stopped being just you. You became Mrs. Someone or someone's wife. People introduce you that way. This is John's wife. Not this is Sarah. Not this is Sarah, she's a graphic designer. Or this is Sarah, she's hilarious. Or this is Sarah, she speaks 3 languages. Nope, you're just John's wife. That's your identifier now. And it's subtle, right? It's not like anyone sits you down and says, okay, you're not a full person anymore. You're just an extension of your husband. But that's what happens. Slowly, gradually, invisibly. Your hobbies become negotiable. Oh, you used to paint? That's nice. Do you still have time for that? As if having time for yourself is a luxury you might not be able to afford anymore. Your time becomes flexible. Your schedule is the one that bends. Your plans are the ones that get canceled when something comes up. Your career becomes the backup plan. It's important, sure, but not as important as his. If someone has to work late, if someone has to travel, if someone has to prioritize their job, it's him. And you adjust, you accommodate, you flex. And him? he's still just himself. He's still John, not Sarah's husband, just John. His identity intact. His hobbies are still his hobbies. His career is still his priority. His time is still his time. He didn't have to give anything up. He didn't have to become someone different. He just got a wife, a person who now organizes his life, manages his household, and makes sure everything runs smoothly. You, on the other hand, you stopped being fully you. You became a wife. And wife is a role, not a person. And then there are the responsibilities. Suddenly, you're responsible for things that were never your job before. And I'm not even talking about the kids yet. We'll get to that in another episode. I'm talking about all the other shit. You're responsible for remembering birthdays. Not just your own family's birthdays, his family's birthdays too. His mom, his dad, his siblings, his nieces and nephews. You're the one who buys the cards, signs his name, makes sure they get sent on time. You are responsible for holidays, planning them, organizing them, cooking for them, buying gifts for everyone, making sure everything is perfect. You're responsible for thank you notes, for scheduling, for making sure the house is clean when people come over, for coordinating with his family and your family and make sure everyone is happy. You're responsible for the mental load of managing a household, knowing what's in the fridge, what needs to be bought, what bills are due. The moment you said, I do, what appointments are coming up, and when did this become your job? All right. Nobody sat down and divided these responsibilities. Nobody negotiated who would do what. It just happened because that's what wives do. That's the role. That's the expectation. And him, he helps out if you ask. He'll do things if you tell him what to do. But the knowing, the remembering, the managing, that's on you. He's not responsible for his own mother's birthday. You are. He's not responsible for knowing what's for dinner. You are. He's not responsible for noticing when something needs to be done. You are. You become the household manager, the family's executive assistant, the person who keeps everything running. And he became the person who lives there and occasionally helps out. That's the invisible shift. Let's talk about friends. What happened to your friends when you got married? I'm guessing they changed. Maybe they faded. Maybe they got harder to maintain. Maybe your friend group shifted entirely because suddenly your friendships become couple friends. You hang out with his friends and their wives, or you hang out with other married couples. Your social life becomes a couple's activity, and your single friends, they drift away. Not because they don't care, but because you're too busy now, too tired, too consumed with being a wife and managing a household and maybe being a parent. You stop having time for spontaneous hangouts. You stop being available for girls' nights. You stop being the person who's up for anything. And slowly, quietly, you lose those friendships. Not dramatically, not with a fight or a falling out, just distance. Life getting in the way, priorities shifting. But his friends, still around, still gaming on weekends, still going out for drinks, still texting in the group chat. He didn't lose his social life. He didn't have to sacrifice his friendships. His guys are still his guys. But you lost your people. You lost your social identity outside of being his wife. You went from having your own friend group, your own social life, your own identity in the world, to being a part of a unit, part of a couple, the wife. And when you're at social events, you're not you anymore. You're Tom's wife. You're the woman who stands next to him at parties and makes small talk with other wives. You stopped being a person with your own social identity and became an accessory to his. And nobody even noticed, because that's just what happens when women get married. Here's the thing that really gets me. All of these shifts, all of these changes, they're not explicit. Nobody tells you this is going to happen. Nobody warns you. It's just expected. You're expected to take his name. You're expected to move for his job. You are expected to become the household manager. You are expected to handle the emotional labor, the social coordination, the family management. You're expected to make your life smaller so his can stay the same size. And if you don't, if you push back, if you say, wait, why is this all on me? Then you're difficult. You're high maintenance. You're not being a team player. But he's not expected to change anything. He's not expected to take your name. He's not expected to move for your job. He's not expected to remember his own mother's birthday. He gets to stay exactly who he was before marriage. His life expands. He gets a partner, a household manager, someone to share his life with. Your life contracts. You become smaller. You become a role instead of a person. And everyone acts like this is normal. Like this is just how marriage works. Like this is what you signed up for. But nobody told me I was signing up to disappear. Nobody warned me that wife meant the person who stops being fully herself so everyone else can stay whole. And if you have kids, oh, the shift gets even bigger. Your body changes, not just during pregnancy, although that's a massive change all on its own, but after too. Your body recovers, your hormones shift. Your sleep schedule is determined by someone else's needs. Your physical autonomy is negotiable. You're tapped out. You're exhausted. You're healing. You're feeding another human from your body, maybe. You're wearing clothes that fit differently. You're looking in the mirror at a person who looks different than she did before. Your body becomes about function, not about you. It's about what it can do. Grow a baby, feed a baby, recover from birth. It's not yours anymore in the same way. And his body, exactly the same. Unchanged, unaffected. He didn't gain weight and lose it. He didn't have his body change permanently. He didn't go through recovery. He didn't have his sleep disrupted in the same way. His body is still his. Your body became everyone else's. And I'm not even talking about the medical side of it. The appointments, the procedures, the health care that becomes all about reproduction and pregnancy and not about you as a person. I'm talking about the fact that your body is expected to change, to sacrifice, to serve, while his stays exactly the same. That's part of the invisible shift too. And here's what makes me so angry about all of this. When you try to talk about it, when you try to point out how unequal it is, people say, well, that's just part of marriage. Is it though? Is it part of marriage or is it part of being a wife? Because from where I'm sitting, marriage didn't change him. Marriage changed me. He didn't disappear. He didn't give anything up. He didn't become a role instead of a person. I did. So no, it's not part of marriage. It's part of the expectation that women sacrifice and men don't. And it's part, and I'm tired of pretending. It's part of the expectation that wives exist to serve and husbands exist to be served. I'm tired of pretending it's normal that I gave up my name and he kept his, that I moved and he stayed, that I became responsible for everything and he became responsible for showing up. So let's talk about what we actually lost in this invisible shift. We lost our names, our identities, our sense of self. We lost our friendships, our social lives, our communities. We lost our careers, or at least our career trajectories. We lost opportunities, promotions, professional growth. We lost our hobbies, our interests, our time for ourselves. We lost our independence, our autonomy, our ability to make decisions without considering everyone else first. We lost ourselves. And the worst part, we're not supposed to talk about it. We're supposed to be grateful. We're supposed to focus on what we gained: a partner, a family, a life together. And sure, yeah, we gained those things. And those things are valuable. I'm not saying they're not. But why can't we acknowledge what we lost? Why can't we be honest about the cost? Why do I have to pretend that becoming a wife didn't mean giving up the huge parts of myself? Why is it ungrateful to say, I love my family, but I miss who I used to be? Here's the thing. I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't know that getting married would mean disappearing. I didn't know that a wife was a role that would consume my identity. If someone had told me, maybe I would have made different choices. Maybe I would have protected parts of myself more fiercely. Maybe I would have pushed back harder against the expectations. Or maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I would have done it all the same way. But at least I would have known what I was getting into. So if you're listening to this and you're not married yet, listen to me. Protect yourself. Keep your name if it matters to you. Keep your career, your friendships, your hobbies, your identity. Don't let wife become the only thing you are. Negotiate expectations before you're in it. Talk about who's going to do what. Talk about whose career comes first. Talk about how you're going to split the mental load. Don't just assume it'll work out. It won't. Not without explicit conversation and boundaries. And if you're already married and you're feeling like this invisible shift, if you're feeling like you disappeared and nobody noticed, you're not alone. You're not crazy for feeling like you lost yourself. You did, because that's what happens when women become wives in a society that expects women to give up everything and men to give up nothing. But here's the good news. You're still in there. The person you were before, she's still there. You can find her again. You can reclaim parts of yourself. You can push back against the role. It's not easy. It's going to be uncomfortable. People are going to call you selfish. They're going to say you're not being a team player. They're going to accuse you of changing. But you didn't change. You disappeared. And now you're trying to come back. And that's okay. That's allowed. You're allowed to want to be a full person again, not just a role. Alright, that's it for this episode. Next time, we're diving into the mental load, that exhausting, invisible, never-ending work of remembering and managing everything for everyone. Until then, remember, you didn't sign up to disappear, and you don't have to stay invisible. This is why I hate being a wife. I'm your host, and I'll see you next time. Peace.